I'm your host, John Myers, live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey, everybody. Gotta have my notes. It's John Myers from the KICKER UnMasked studios. Gotta have my notes. Alternator. Hey, everybody. We have fun. Hey, everybody. Hit like and subscribe. Right here, right now. It's John Myers. We like to give stuff away. Alternator. Post some more pictures. We got to thank Steve and Becky live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Don't forget Texas Roadhouse right here, right now. Hey, everybody. Don't forget right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. Had a great dinner tonight. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. Had a great dinner tonight. So, hey, everybody. So, housekeeping. Had a great dinner tonight. So, alternator. Housekeeping. Housekeeping. So, Tuesday night. Housekeeping. From the KICKER UnMasked studios. Housekeeping. Right here, right now. Hey, everybody. So, it's John Myers. Hey, everybody. It's John Myers from the KICKER UnMasked studios. Hey, everybody. From the KICKER UnMasked studios. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey, everybody.
Right here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. Unmasked number, I forgot what number we are, but it's written down somewhere, like 130 something or other. Thank you all for being here tonight. We've got a really fun show for you. As you probably know, Carlos is going to be co-hosting with me tonight, and we're going to be talking about Warhorse amplifiers and daily drivers. Not necessarily systems with banks of lithiums and 300 amp alternators, but something a little more simple, something a little more daily driverish for the regular guy or girl. I also want to say that we've got Colin with us tonight. This is actually my first show with Colin, so I'm excited to see what Colin does and what kind of fresh flavors he brings to the team. In addition, we've got JW back there who brought us a lovely dinner from Nuki. Thank you for bringing Nuki for dinner. It was fantastic. Side note, my good friends Patricia and Calvin, they own Nuki and they make a great poke bowl. Also, of course, we got Ernie back there. Ernie is working his magic, and he did not have a nap tonight. So if things move slowly or oddly, it's probably because Ernie's dozing off. And I want to say, Bobby, you got here at like 2:30 this afternoon. Dude, really? We don't even start till 7:30. So thanks for being the first guy to tune in. And I think actually Ernie said you're always the first guy. Looks like El Fuego. We get a lot of questions from El Fuego. Thank you for being here, El Fuego. Am I saying that right? El Fuego. I'll have Carlos correct my pronunciation when he gets up here. Who else we got? CM. I don't know who CM is, but thank you for being here, CM. Frank, good evening. Kyle, good evening. Living Loud with Andy. Of course, Andy's going to be here. Good evening, Andy. Are you home from vacation or are you still in transit? I know I saw you on Facebook. Looks like you're having a great time, so congratulations on a great family vacation. I think that about covers it. We're going to go to a short commercial. We're going to bring Carlos into the studio. He's in the green room having a massage right now. We're going to bring him in the studio, and then we're going to get started, so stay tuned.
It's been a long road since the original Kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machines became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
Music is my passion, my livelihood, and it's in my DNA. My pals at Kicker Marine Audio gave me a chance to take the music what I love and listen to at home, on stage, and in the car, onto the water. Hi, this is Jason Bonham, and I want to say a big thank you to my friends at Kicker Audio for inspiring the songs and the stories behind the music that inspires America. Go overboard!
Welcome back, and look who's sitting next to me.
Here we are.
The super handsome Carlos Jimenez. For many years, I actually said his last name incorrectly because I would say Jimenez, but...
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
So, how do you say El Fuego properly?
Well, it's the fire, El Fuego. So not fuego, fuego.
You say it so much better than I do. So, Carlos, you just came back from a long trip, and thanks to, what's that company that crashed all the servers? Thanks to that company, you stayed longer overnight.
So we were in Southern California, Los Angeles. It was a fun trip, guys. We left Sunday night because we know that, like, traveling, especially to LA or anywhere on any one of these coasts, you're going to travel for 8 hours, especially leaving out of Stillwater, right? So traveled for 8 hours to get there. We went to sleep, and thank God we did, because our rep, Bobby, decided he's going to pick us up at 7 a.m. to start going to see dealers. And now you imagine that if, like, you're going to go all day, 8 to 10 hours visiting dealers, doing trainings, and you just traveled 8 hours, totally not cool. But, you know, we planned it right. We got in there. We did some really good training. We had some quality interactions with customers, with some dealers, answered a lot of questions, which was, to me, it was a big deal that the trainings went to like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
That's amazing.
And it's just, you know, these guys interacting, the guys asking questions. We also did Best Buy training while we were out there.
Yeah, good.
So that was really cool. They had guys from Hawaii come up to LA to get trained. And hopefully, if you guys are on right now, I talked to you guys during the trainings. Show your installs, because they were talking about some custom installs they do
in Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is strange, because you're like, hey, you know, it's a big box store. They don't have time for custom installs, but you know, you live on a small island. You know, you got to find some way to make extra money, right?
Limited resources, so you got to do everything.
So they're willing to share with us their installs on their cool, you know, cars that they've worked on. But it was great being able to see all these guys. We started from LA, went all the way down to San Diego. We saw our good friend Randy Bowen.
Oh, nice. Hi, Randy.
So really cool. We got to see Randy because we got delayed. If you guys don't know what happened, if you're living under a rock and you don't have access to an iPad or news, TV, whatever. So there was an outage for all airports, even some banks, and our flight got canceled. And it's a good thing I woke up at 5 in the morning, because, you know, if I got to travel early in the morning, I cannot sleep. I'm worried that I'm going to miss my flight. I'm going to oversleep. So I woke up 5 in the morning and I check, and they didn't say delayed. It says canceled. So trying to find a way to get home. You know, 2 hours later, the lady's like, look, you're not going to be home for 34 hours. So let's just spend an extra night. We'll get you out tomorrow, and you can be in Stillwater. So I came home late Saturday. It was good.
And here you are, Tuesday night.
Yeah, and then we saw Mr. Irby on the plane.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun, because I traveled with Tracy. If you guys don't know who Tracy is, he's our regional for the West Coast, and he's got American Airlines status. And for the inconvenience, they upgrade us to first class, and we get on the plane, and Steve says, hey guys, and I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah, do you want my seat? These are yours.
Yes.
But he was cool about it. He's just like, nah, man, I got to sit with my wife. I was like, all right, cool.
Well, Tracy, Becky can sit in your seat.
Exactly. But it was a pretty cool, fun trip. We, again, got to see a lot of new guys, a lot of questions, a lot of answered a lot of misnomers.
Yeah.
Stuff that guys, for example, hey man, when I hook up a bass knob to your amplifier, it doesn't turn the gain all the way. No, it doesn't.
No,
It's an attenuator. So you
Yes.
set the gain at the amplifier, hook up your bass knob, and then you just set at the highest level the bass knob will go.
You know what? Let's come back to that topic when we start talking Warhorse amplifiers, because that is a great topic to discuss. A lot of folks don't understand what you just said, so we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But we do have someone in the green room, the digital green room, who's hanging out. So do you want to introduce this gentleman?
Sure, absolutely. Bill W. Bill, man, I don't want to butcher your name, dude. Like, I like you. I know I like you. I don't want. Can you pronounce your name for us, man?
It's Weidemoyer.
Yes.
Bill W.
I agree. Bill, man, it's great to see you, bud. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a bit.
It's been a year. So you guys don't know this, but Bill and I, we've met through the Ocean City Jeep Week in Maryland. I think we've done, or I met you 2 years ago, I want to say. Is that so?
2 years ago, yeah.
So 2 years ago, and Bill was very quiet, very he wasn't like, hey, come here, Carlos, let's hang out. The first year. The second year, we got to hang out. It was a good time. So, Bill, tell us about yourself. We see that awesome Jeep Gladiator in the back, the only Jeep Gladiator with bass, right?
Yeah, not the only one, but the loud one anyway. So yeah, I've been in the business for 30 years or so.
Wow.
Built a couple different demo vehicles. Right now, working for Spare Time Fab up in Myerstown, Pennsylvania. We actually do big. So tractor trailer trucks, we pretty much cut them down, redo all the insides. I do all the stereo systems in there and try to give them what they're looking for sound-wise.
That seems like an up-and-coming trend. A lot of guys working on their trucks. I mean, and we don't think about it, but these guys spend, what did we say, Jeremy, 10, 12 hours a day in their trucks? So, I mean, it makes sense that they would spend money on it, right?
Well, and at Slamology, there's a whole category for over-the-road trucks.
Yeah.
Customization. So yeah, it's definitely a trend for sure.
I mean, it's a good little niche you got there. So you and I met during Jeep Week in Maryland. If you guys don't know what Jeep Week is, Bill, talk to them about Ocean City Jeep Week. What is it?
So at the end of August is their big show. Towards the end of August, roughly a few hundred Jeeps that usually converge in the convention center and other avenues or other buildings down that way, and just get together and hang out to see what's new in the Jeep world, and I don't know, try to get a lot of sound in the Jeep community. So,
and guys, if you haven't gone, it's a treat. I don't think you've ever got to go to one.
You always go.
Man, they were so fun. You will never see two Jeeps exactly the same. Mm-hmm. They're all different. I mean, and they sell all these accessories, anything from just like antennas to even knobs for your radio, like just every accessory that you can ever dream of, you'll find on Jeeps, right? Yeah. And you'll see them at Jeep Week. So, Bill, how long have you been attending Jeep Week and exhibiting or showing your cool trucks?
I've been going for 5 years, showing for 4 in KICKER.
Well, that's awesome, man. We're happy that you're working with us, and as we talk, Ernie's going to be showing some of your installs, your really cool installs there. So he's got his Jeep Gladiator at the show, but he also shows his wife's Wrangler, which is also really cool. I love the color. I think you and I talked about the color on it last time. It's very unique.
Yeah, so it's a raspberry color. We used teal accents on it. So we did all the details on the side, painted the whole back. We just added leather to it for this year, did a couple upgrades for this year's show, as well as redid my complete system in my truck for this year's show.
Oh, you redid it?
Oh, yeah. It's a little louder than
I'm excited to hear that.
Did he say louder?
Right.
Oh, my God.
And it was loud. And that's the thing with his car, his Jeep. Sorry, I called it a car. It's a Jeep. His Jeep not only is it loud, but it sounds good. I think we've all heard those Jeeps or those vehicles out there that are loud, but just because it's loud doesn't mean it sounds good, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we've all have those relatives that sing really loud and you're like, please don't. So it's same thing with some of these cars. I mean, you see these huge bullet tweeters on the sound bars and you're like, I hope you don't have kids.
Yeah.
Because it's not going out, right? It's going right into the cabin, right to those poor kids. Mm-hmm. So I was telling the guys earlier today, I think either during the production meeting or during our dinner session, our nookie session, about your fabrication skills. And I know you love fabricating, it's your passion. I mean, and that's what makes it fun, right? When you're working on your passion, you're not actually working, you're doing something that's fun, and it's, I mean, that's what Steve Irby does, right? I mean, this is not a job to him, it's just something he does and he enjoys. So talk to us about your special fabrication. So for example, I was telling him how you showed me the Gladiator, how you had your cans, your KMTCs, where you fabricated brackets for them because we didn't have the flat mounts back when you first got them. So you fabricated some mounting options or mounting brackets. Mounting brackets. I don't know how we could say it, but you just did a really cool job installing them. And then you had your 8-inch cans on there. But what was really cool about it, and I thought it was special because they get heavy, right? But he put them on the doors, but the doors would not close. Like he just did a really good job. I mean, obviously he thought about the install and he made the extra work for it. Tell us about that.
So what I like to do with my installs is I'll do a lot of little Easter eggs or take time to take things apart and color match things or, wrap them in vinyl just to kind of make everything flow. So as you can see, with the girls, I painted the rings of the amplifiers. I painted to match that particular that system there. With my Jeep, you can look at it half a dozen to a dozen times, and you'll find something different every time you look at it, which to me is what it's all about.
That's pretty cool.
That's nice work. I was you probably saw my mouth was open. I know the camera came back to me. I'm like, because I was noticing the details you're talking about, where the end panels of the amplifiers are colored to match the interior. It's incredible work.
Yeah, I enjoy doing that kind of stuff, and like I said, just little Easter eggs throughout. And if I see one thing to me that I do, and then the person notices, that is all the world to me. So.
Yeah, I love all those little details that you do. So I know I talk about your Gladiator and your wife's car. I love the installs. I love the details on them. Is there another favorite install, one that doesn't include your wife, that you've done and that you could share with us, like what all went into it?
I think the truck that I sent pictures of, it's the white with blue. So that customer came to us and said, I want the loudest system that I can get in this thing. At that point, the solo X's were not available. So that's why we didn't use those. So yeah, we have 412s in there, 1800 per, CX 1800 per 12. I think we have like 4 or 5 sets of 6.5-inch speakers in there with a CXA 360 per pair. So yeah, thing gets down, and the owner of that truck, his name is Jason Favor. He beats that thing, and it just keeps on taking. So.
That's nice.
That's awesome. That's when you know you did it right.
That's right.
So, Bill, very important question, and I think the question that everybody has been thinking about as we're talking about this. At the Jeep shows, what do you do at the end of the Jeep show with all the ducks?
They go on a big backpack.
So in case you guys don't know what
we want to re-hand out the other one. So.
If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, at the Jeep shows, they leave these like baby ducks, and they're all accessorized, right? Like different type of baby ducks. They put them on cars. Some people just put them on the cars. Some people take them from the cars and they trade. I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. It's a Jeep thing, right?
It's a Jeep thing, yeah.
And then the other question that Aaron was asking is like, what's the Jeep Wave? Can you show us the Jeep Wave? Like, is it like that or is it like that? I mean, there's so many things we've seen.
Just that. That's it? Peace?
That's it.
Cool.
So what's the thing with the Jeep Wave? Tell us about the Jeep Wave. I want to be in the club.
I think it just started out as, people that had Jeeps, and I know there's a whole story behind it. I'm sure I'm getting it wrong, but just a friendly Jeep thing. Nothing real special to it.
Actually, it's pretty funny you say it's a friendly Jeep thing, because I don't think I've met a mean Jeep owner. I don't think I've ever met someone like... No, the Jeep owners, they're all pretty cool.
That's because you're a friendly guy.
Right?
Carlos,
a little bit.
Hey, Bill, Brian Park is asking, are there kicker ducks in your Jeep?
I do not have a kicker duck.
Well, we're going to have to fix that.
Yeah. We got something to work on for the next Jeep week.
So, Bill, can you tell us if one of our audience members or someone watching this later wants you to do their next install, how do they get a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me would either to call our shop or go on our website at www.sparetimefab.com, and you'll call the shop or email the owner. His name is Randy. Or you can reach out to me on Instagram at gecko_shock, SHOK, and that would be the best two ways to get a hold of me. Or reach out to me.
So we'll have all that contact info in the notes for the show. So anyone who wants a truly high-end, nicely fabbed install can contact you directly.
That's correct.
Awesome.
Bill,
Thank
man,
you, Bill.
we want to thank you for your time, man. It's awesome to see you again, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks again. We'll have some ice cream, maybe a coffee.
You will not only see me, but you will hear me as well. So.
Yeah, that's right. All right, bud. We'll see you,
Good
man.
night, Bill.
Thanks a lot.
Nice
Very
to
good.
meet you.
Thank you.
Nice guy, and he does look like
Someone we know.
it does look like Joe Hobart.
I said someone we know.
Yes,
But they're both nice guys.
they're very nice
They're
guys.
both nice
Wow.
guys, and they're very intelligent guys, too.
Yeah, that's great. Wow. So that was our first dealer spotlight. We just wanted to highlight one of our premium kicker retail partners. So if you're looking for a high quality, high fab install, you can check out Bill and say it again, it's Spare Time Fab in Pennsylvania. So let's talk now about Warhorse amplifiers and daily drivers. This is something that we've been wanting to talk about for a little while, but of course we had to wait till the amplifiers were available. As we know, not everybody has a bank of lithium batteries and 2 high output alternators to work with in their system. But you still want Warhorse amplifier technology. So can we make a daily driver, normal guy or girl system with Warhorse amplifiers? And the simple answer is yes. So we're going to go through 3 essential basic systems that you can design and build for yourself using Warhorse amplifiers and, of course, Street Series, Solo X, and Warhorse installation components. On a side note, we just learned today that the 1000.4 Warhorse amplifier is back in stock, and it's available now. So check out your retailers. So Carlos, let's start. See, we've got 2 amps here, which is which. Let's take this one away for now.
This is the multi-channel.
And focus on the 4-channel.
So this 4-channel was actually pretty cool while I was out in Los Angeles. As soon as everybody found out it was available, oh my gosh, how do we get one? Place your order.
Place your order, that's right. They're available now. So we have well, I guess we'll start with the description before the document. But one way that you can use this 4-channel amplifier in a daily driver system is to run it in what we call 3-channel mode. 3-channel mode is quite simple, what it sounds like. The front 2 channels, or amp 1, is running your mids and highs in high pass mode. Channels 3 and 4, or amp 2, is running bridged low pass to your subwoofer. Now when you bridge the amplifier, it puts out over 900 watts RMS. So there's plenty of power to drive a single Solo X subwoofer. Now you're saying, hold on Aaron, Solo X is ready for 2000 watts RMS. But think about this. What is the sonic difference between 1000 watts RMS and 2000 watts RMS? The sonic difference is 3 dB, 3 decibels. Well, what exactly does that mean? Now, a lot of people say, well, 3 dB, that's twice as loud. No, it's not. This is my favorite description of 3 dB. Take your phone, connect your Kicker headphones or earbuds, or anything you have laying around, preferably Kicker. Play your favorite song at about half volume. Listen to it for 10 or 15 seconds. Then hit the volume up button one time. That's 3 dB. That is a 3 dB difference. And when you do that, you're going to notice, yeah, it's louder, but it's not a lot louder. Now, to a microphone, if you're competing in SPL, 3 dB is huge.
Yeah,
that's winning
deal.
and losing all day long. But to the ear, listening to music, 3 dB is almost nothing. So the takeaway is, take channels 3 and 4, bridge it, set it low pass, and run a single Solo X10, 12, or 15. Any of those woofers off of 900 watts, and it's going to throttle you. So you can do that quite simply. And then the other 2 channels are running your mids and your highs.
So we're saying like an application like Bill was saying in a semi.
Sure.
Like one of those tractors, you just want to have a big subwoofer in there, and you want to have maybe a set of ST speakers, or maybe 2 sets of ST speakers. You got plenty of power here left over.
Absolutely. Hey, Ernie, we've got a graphic that I want to throw up for the 3-channel mode. Can you put that up there real quick? We'll walk through this, because I'm sure a lot of folks are thinking like, wow, what exactly does that mean? So if you take a look at this graphic here, 900 watts RMS to the subwoofer, and that's running, of course, low pass on channels 3, 4, and then 250 watts to the left and 250 watts to the right. Tons and tons of power for your mids and highs. So you could run your Street Series 7-inch or 9-inch and your ST3 or 4 tweeter, which is a 1-inch or 1 3/4 inch. You could run either of those tweeters. Now, the magic is you have to run the high-pass capacitor with that tweeter. And I also want to suggest, if you're running just one mid, you also use the resistor, because that brings down the output of the tweeter by 3 dB, so it matches better with the mid-range if you're running a single mid-range. Now, of course, you've got enough power to run multiple mids and tweeters, but for this example, we want to keep it simple just to get the concept through. So you run the high-pass filter probably around 80 to 100 hertz on amp 1, which is running stereo. And then from the mid-range, you're going to run your speaker wire through that capacitor and that padding resistor up to the tweeter. So that's going to show the amplifier a consistent 4 ohm load. Now I want to make this clear. Even though you're running a mid and a tweeter, because the tweeter is crossed over and the mid has a natural roll-off to meet the tweeter, the amplifier is still seeing a 4 ohm load, so it's going to put out the 250 watt RMS. Now, if you were running 2 mids in a single tweet, then you would in fact drop down to 2 ohms for most of the frequency range, so then you're going to get more power.
Right.
450, 500 watts RMS to your mids, just insane amount of power. So that's a simple way to run this in a 3-channel system. Now let's talk about the electrical system. So side note, on kicker.com, if you go to the Warhorse amplifiers, way at the bottom of the page, there's a bunch of different options for PDFs. There's a white paper there that Joe Hobart talked about a few weeks ago. And there's also this document that we're referring to tonight. This document, this one right here.
Scenarios.
Can you pull this up real quick? Yeah, Ernie? No, you can't. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, Stephen Bambrow, he's getting his CDL license, so he's in training for the next couple of weeks, so he's not working with us tonight. So I forgot about that. Sorry about that.
That's why we don't have anyone drawn on the blackboard. But I do notice how, like, all your notes you had on the blackboard, someone erased.
Yeah, some little gnome from Fort Ficklin. So anyway, this document is called Warhorse Install Scenarios. This document's on our website. And this will tell you the electrical requirements to run a Warhorse basic system. So if you're going to run this amplifier in 3-channel mode like we discussed, you need minimum 180 amp at idle alternator, 180 amps at idle alternator, and a stock but healthy stock battery. So you want to have a healthy battery, healthy factory stock alternator, and then the Big 3 upgrade. And of course, the Big 3 upgrade is super important because you want to make sure that your alternator and your battery are running on the same gauge or greater than your Warhorse amplifier. So you want to do those 3 things, And with those 3 elements in your system, you can run this amplifier no problem in 3-channel mode. Now, another way to run this amplifier, let's say that you had a different subwoofer amplifier, or maybe you're going to start without a subwoofer, which is crazy, but some people do that. And let's say you're just going to run this just to your mids and your highs. So this amplifier has what's called a band pass crossover capability. So what is band pass? That means that it has a high pass and a low pass on the same set of channels. So for example, if I've got my Street Series 9-inch mid-range, I can high pass it at 80 or 100 hertz, and then I have a low pass at maybe I'm going to do, say, 3K, 3000 hertz. So I can actually tell this speaker, I only want you to play from 3K down to about 100 hertz, and that's all that you're going to play. And then on the other 2 channels, channels 1 and 2, I can then use what's called a ×10 multiplier, which takes the crossover and raises it up ×10. So now I can run that 3K or 4K, 4000 hertz and up to just the tweeters. So now the amplifier is dedicating all of its mid-range power to 2 channels and all of its tweeter power to the other 2 channels. And that's going to give you the best possible amount of output and clarity from this amplifier running just your mids and highs.
So I'm glad you bring that up, because when I was in Puerto Rico, remember I was telling you that they were selling a lot of that Brazilian style amplifiers with the PA style speakers,
right?
And that's what we were noticing. We were trying to see, well, what makes us different? Why are we not competing in that same arena? And those speakers and the amplifiers were designed to just play certain frequencies, and it from not even mid bass, a little bit below mid bass, or a little bit above mid bass, to tweeters. That's all the frequencies that it was going to play. So it makes the amplifier a lot more efficient.
Oh, yes.
It keeps it from getting hot too. I mean, it's just more efficient altogether, and that's what these guys are like, oh no, but it's loud. Sure, it's loud. We can get loud if we're cutting out the bass, but that bass draws power, so it requires power, it requires energy, like batteries.
Absolutely.
You need, you're drawn from the battery, you need an alternator to recharge it. So I mean, this is really cool to be able to have this. And you could use it on your mom's Ford Tempo car on a daily driver,
mom's Ford
Tempo. To do your interiors, right? I mean, and the reason I say that when I bring up Ford Tempo, when I used to be a rep in Illinois, we had an account that was in Indiana, and the guy bought a Warhorse, like the original Warhorse with the Solo X, and he had a Ford Tempo. And he's like, man, I restored my mom's 1986 Ford Tempo. It was a Mercury Topaz, not even a Ford Tempo. The Mercury Topaz. Remember the one that with the seatbelt that would be automatic?
So stupid.
Yeah, right. So he kept complaining that he was blowing woofers. And so when we go look, and I'm like, you have a Ford Tempo battery. The Tempo battery was like the size of this. And I'm like, you have a factory alternator. Like it's a gerbil in a wheel.
Yes.
I'm like, you need to upgrade that stuff. He's like, no, it should work fine. I've seen guys on YouTube with Civics. No, that's not going to work, man. So I mean, that's really cool that this amplifier can be used without requiring too much upgrades on it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned the original Warhorse. Just this morning, I got an email from our friends in the United Kingdom. And they've got a customer over there. Celsius is our distributor in the UK. And they've got a customer that just bought an original Warhorse. And he has 6 L5 subwoofers. If you're not familiar, the L5 used to be a step down from the L7 long before the L7R came around. So this is way back. And he's got 6 of these laying around. So these are vintage subwoofers. And he wants to run 6 of these with this 10,000 watt Warhorse amplifier. And my first thought was, wait a minute, 10,000 watts divided by 6, that's 1,888 watts per L5. Not even an L5 15 is going to handle 2,000 watts. So I said, the limiter on the original Warhorse amplifier, the limiter allows you to reduce the RMS power of the amplifier all the way from 10,000 down to 1,000 watts. So you could have a 1,000 watt Warhorse amplifier. And this completely changes the way a system works, because you now don't have to have, which we originally said, 8 batteries and 2 200 amp alternators to run the original Warhorse. If you turn that down to 5K, you've now cut the current consumption in half. So the Topaz guy, he actually could have used it if he would have cranked it down to 1,000 watts.
Right. Well, I think still at 1,000 watts, it was taxing the electrical system. Those poor headlights.
Do we have any questions from the audience, JW? Sometimes I forget. I get so excited in the conversation. So questions. Todd, good evening, Todd. Thanks for being here, sir. Would the Warhorse 3600 be too much for one Solo X12? And if so, what would you recommend? So in our Bronco, we're running one 3600 per 12. Is it too much? Yes, it is. Does it work? Absolutely. The most important thing is that you gain it properly. What I would suggest is, because the woofer is designed for 2000 RMS, I would use a multimeter and a test tone, and I would set the gain for 2000 RMS. That way you've got tons of dynamic headroom, and you're not overtaxing the subwoofer on a regular basis. So the answer is yes, but you got to do it properly. Great question. Any other questions, J-Dub? That for now? Okay, thank you. All right, so we've gone through some basic scenarios using this guy. We talked about the electrical system. So I guess what's next is the 3600.
3600.
Right?
Let me move this out of the way for you.
You got it? Okay, my lovely assistant. I keep sitting on my mic pad. Excuse me just a minute while I take this out of my pocket.
Don't worry, Aaron, I'll get it.
Thank you for doing all the heavy lifting. So now we've got the 3600 one, which you probably already noticed is in the same heat sink chassis, the same size as the 1004. It is a little bit heavier because there's some more components going on the inside.
You know this heavy lifting is going to stunt my growth, right?
Yeah, you're done growing, Carlos. So with the 3601, if this is the only amplifier in your system, now let's say you're running deck-powered your mids and highs, which not a great idea, but there are guys that do it. Side note, if you're using the Street Series running off of a head unit, they'll actually play considerably louder than CS or KS because the sensitivity, the efficiency is so much higher. They'll actually play pretty darn loud from very little power. So that's a whole side note, different conversation there. So the 3601, if you're going to run this amplifier in your daily driver, here's the bare minimum you need to have to make this work. 180 amp alternator at idle. So once again, you need a stock, stout alternator, 180 amp at idle. You need the Big 3 upgrade. Absolutely do the Big 3 upgrade. And you'll need a second battery that is physically close to the amplifier, because you want to run really short runs of aught gauge at the amplifier, and of course you want to fuse it. And side note, we're going to show you the Warhorse installation components towards the end of the program, because those are now available and shipping as well. So you want to be sure and have, again, a stock 180 amp alternator, stout alternator, the Big 3 upgrade, and you need a second battery that is physically close to the Warhorse amplifier without gauge runs to it. Now, in the next show, which is going to be August 6th, we're going to bring in a couple of power experts. We're going to bring in a guy from XS Power and another gentleman from MechMan Alternators, and we're going to talk about big power delivery to go multiple Warhorse amplifiers. But for the bare minimum to make this guy work, you need that extra battery. And as a side note, we talked to a guy, Sean, at XS Power. This has been several months ago, and they've got this fantastic product. Tell me if it's the Triton series. I think it's called the Triton 8, and it's a lithium cell that works with stock electrical systems and does not require an isolator, and it doesn't require any fancy charging capabilities. It'll wire right into your stock electrical system, and Sean says it is brute enough to run a Warhorse 3601, no problem. So we'll be sure to get deeper with that with Sean on the next Unmasked on the 6th. But going back to, that's the minimum to run one of these guys. Now, as the gentleman asked, if he's running with just 112, yeah, that's great. This will certainly do that. But it's plenty enough power for two 12s, two Solo X12s, and I would even say you could run 4 without any trouble.
Yeah.
So 4 of them would be 500 watts per woofer, which is...
And it'll be very impressive. I mean, because you're getting 4 cones, right?
Yes,
Like you're creating a whole wall movement. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Actually, speaking of that, a while back, the 501, the PXA 501, I had a customer that said, hey, man, I think this is bad. Doesn't play 210s very well. And I took it over here at Surratt, was working back there. I'm like, hey, can you check this out for me? He played 215s off of it, or 415s off of it, and we showed the video to the guy, and he's like, yeah, maybe I did something wrong.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, so if it didn't play 2 10s or 12s, but now it's playing 415s, something's wrong there, man.
Well, and to your point, in our Fiat demo, we've got a Fiat here at Kicker that has traveled. It's been to a lot of different shows, Knowledge Fest, SEMA, and it's running a quad box off a Key 501. Key 501 running the quad box, and it's dumb. It is awesome loud. And that speaks to the efficiency of that enclosure, that huge port, and those 4 woofers all working together. So yeah, it's plenty of power.
I mean, and speaking of technology, back to the trip that I did.
Yes.
I don't think I even talked to you about this, but we had guys demo to us. They're like, oh, cool, Warhorse and the ST speakers. Let me show you our displays, and some were pretty impressive, the output you're getting out of them. But then when you turned it off, the hissing from the 4-channel, I mean, like, you're hearing it popping through those speakers that are super efficient, so it makes it even louder. You're hearing that loud hissing at no charge, right? You get no charge for these,
no extra charge.
These amps. And then, so I was like, maybe it's just because it's a 4-channel. And then with the sub amplifiers, you would have a humming coming out of the sub. I'm like, is that normal? Well, yeah. I mean, because they had them hooked up to power supplies and batteries on the displays.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Different brands make different stuff, right? And I mean, but that just goes to show the amount of attention we put into the product to make sure that it's something. I mean, how annoying would it be to shut the radio off and you're hearing hissing coming through the speakers, or like just some humming coming from a subwoofer? It's pretty annoying. So I understand why we spend a little bit more money on the technology we put in our products.
Yes, and Joe Hobart talked a lot about that. If you didn't get to see the deep dive in the Warhorse amplifier technology we did with Joe Hobart a few episodes ago, check out that episode, because he goes really deep and total geek into what makes these not only brute force power, but sound quality. Because as you said earlier, loud is easy.
Yeah.
Good and loud, that's the hard part, and that's what these do really well.
So I'm sorry to derail you.
No, that's why we're here, man. So earlier you mentioned about this is an attenuator, not a gain control.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
So when I first started installing, we had different brands, and we would always upsell the customer the bass knob. Why? Well, because you get the bass knob and it makes it louder. And that's true on some brands, because in reality, once you plug in the bass knob, the gain knob on the amplifier is no longer, it doesn't work anymore. This is your gain on the amplifier. So this is probably the worst thing that you can hand to a customer and expect them not to blow it if it's just going to be your gain. So what ours does, it's an attenuator. Wherever you set the gain at the amplifier is going to be the max volume on here, or the max setting on here. I don't want to say volume. We keep saying volume.
Right.
It's going to be the max setting on the bass knob. So you cannot, so long as you set it before clipping, you will not clip on there. Out of the amplifier. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So really cool to know and understand. And I don't know if you guys saw the back side of this bass knob with that little clip.
Retainer.
Another little detail, right? But we know that, you can't zoom in because Steven took the day off. So this little clip here, it's the retainer to make sure, because we know that these amplifiers produce a lot of power. The subwoofers are going to create a lot of vibration. Last thing you want is boop, that popping out, right? So that will just hold it in place, and it will not. Is that a fly?
It is a fly.
Oh, it's also looking for the nookie. So it will keep it from falling out. Pretty cool. I mean, it's a small little detail, but I think is important. Yeah. And you have that hook on, or the retainer on the amplifier itself as well.
So now if you want to run a 1004 for your mids and highs and a 3601 for your subwoofers, let's talk about the minimum requirements. So referring to the sheet here again, the 3601 running the subwoofers and the 1004 running your mids and highs. Now the 1004 must be running in high pass mode. What does that mean? That means the high pass filter for channels 1, 2, and 3, 4 must be running high pass. And the reason for that is the amplifier draws much less current and is far more efficient when it's running in high pass mode. As you're probably aware, most of the energy drawn from the amplifier is for the lower frequencies. The lower the frequency, the more energy is required to move that cone to those great distances. So when the 1000.4 is in high pass mode, it's drawing very little current. So that's why we say it must be in high pass mode if you're going to combine it with a 3601 for your subwoofers, and you're going to use the bare minimum electrical system. So the bare minimum electrical to run both amplifiers is going to be an at idle 180 amp alternator, the Big 3 upgrade, and a second battery that is physically located close to the amplifiers with out gauge runs to it. So if you're paying attention, that's the exact same recommended setup to go with the 3601 by itself. And the reason for that is the 3601 is going to do most of the work, draw most of the current, whereas in high pass mode, the 1004 is going to do very little current, very little work. It's just going to make the system sound sparkling highs, crystal clear. So that's the bare minimum electrical system. Now, of course, you always want to go more if you can, but that's the minimum. Let's talk about the accessories. Can you bring some of those over here? So I already said accessories. I don't mean accessories. I mean installation components.
Necessaries?
It is a very bad habit that I'm in, calling these accessories, because the fact is power wire, ground wire, fuses, these are not accessories. You have to have these things to make the system work. And as a customer, I know it's painful when the sales guy or the installer tells you, this is going to be $200, this is going to be $200, and you're thinking, man, I just spent $500 on the amp. Why is this so expensive? Because we're using oxygen-free pure copper. This is the good stuff. This is going to give you all the current transfer that you need to make your Warhorse amplifiers, or any amplifiers, work properly. And I will tell you, we get phone calls every day here at Kicker, and sometimes personally, with people saying, I've got this brand XYZ wire, and it looks just as good as the Kicker, but it's a half the price, and now my amplifier's shutting down. What's the problem? And you go through the whole process, and simply wire it right the first time.
Yep.
So what about the fuse holder and all that? Can you pull that out of the box? Right there, right? That's right here, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't make that clear. We didn't practice this. This is live.
It was closer to, because I'm closer to the ground. It's making me get it.
All right, so this is the complete line of Warhorse installation components.
I'm going to take them out?
Yeah, let's take them out. Let's take them out. Show the folks.
We can't return them then.
That's okay. Well,
I know a guy.
Hey, Jacob, actually, next time Jacob's on the show, he just bought himself a pickup, a bigger pickup, a Ford F-150, and he is building a system for it, and it sounds fantastic. And so we can actually just, put it in his truck.
But have you heard Jacob's truck?
I did. Have you?
Yeah,
dude,
both of them.
Wow. His new truck is something special. So this is a fused distribution block. And, JW, thank you, man. Okay, so I'm going to make that the spot right there, JW. So this is the fused distribution block. And this allows for 4 in, 4 out. And we've got our 200 amp fuses in here because the Warhorse amplifiers, both of them require a 200 amp fuse, 1 each. Actually, no, that's incorrect. The 3601 requires 2 200 amp fuses, and the 1000.4 requires 1 200 amp fuse. So this is your 4 in, 4 out fused distribution block. And then we also have the same thing in, did you pull out the 2 yet? It's got that. We have the same thing, but only in a 2 in, 2 out fused distribution block. Now what's cool about these, they come with these solid bus bars. So you can use it as a fused power distribution or as a non-fused ground distribution. So you could basically take 2 of these, 1 for your power and 1 for your ground, and have a symmetrical look, and you'll be able to use 1 with dual fuses and 1 with just the bus bars. And the bus bars are included, so you can make it up as you go. And again, you need the 200 amp fuses. We supply those right here. They come in packages of 2. Whatever you think you need, double it, You'll probably need that many because you're probably going to be blowing some fuses as you're tuning and testing your system. So that is the fused distribution blocks. And then we also have the battery terminals. A couple different options here. This guy here is more of a standard aught gauge. This is power or ground, and it bolts right onto your battery terminal. It also comes with a side post adapter. So if you've got a GM side post, it comes with the correct adapter for that. And then you can step up to the bigger version, which now has 6 lugs. So this again mounts directly to your positive or your negative battery top post mount. And you can use one for the positive, one for the negative. And there you go, you've got your 6 connections. And they do have the Lexan top, which is of course partially pretty, but also prevents things from touching it that shouldn't be touching it. This guy does come with a reducer as well, so it works with the positive or the negative post, and this works with the positive or the negative post. So these are available now. Stores near you.
Hold on, let me see that battery post.
Oh, did I
Is this something?
skip something?
Well, you didn't skip it, but you didn't give it its attention.
Oh, okay.
So this GM battery post, on my trips, and when I talk about it, I can't tell you how excited guys get over this.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it at first until this last trip. A lot of guys are like, nobody makes a GM battery post. Everybody's just using a 10 millimeter nut.
Okay.
So to have a cool looking post instead of just using just a regular nut that you get out of a hardware store, it's a big deal to these guys, and it's worth the money that that we're asking for it. We're not asking too much, but I mean it's a special piece.
Sure.
That makes that installation complete. It doesn't look like it's something that was just done
Kludged together.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll work on it after school. It's just temporary.
Yeah, right.
How many times have you heard that? It's just temporary.
Like the guys in the fails that are using zip ties to hold the bare wire onto the post.
Right. It's just temporary.
It's just temporary. Just get me home.
I'm running the wire through the door jamb. No big deal. It's just temporary.
So also, Carlos, because of your trip, you brought up this great topic about crimping. So we've all seen fails, and it's fun to look at fails, but we also want to educate, not just laugh together about these things. But when it comes time to crimp on aught gauge wire, some guys are simply forcing the wire in there and then whacking it with a hammer until it's all smashed up and somewhat holding tight. Well, we've got a couple different solutions here that are far better than just smashing it. This is a hydraulic crimper. And actually open that up again, would you please? So I'm going to open it, and it comes with different sizes. Ernie, can you go to wide shot real quick? It comes with multiple sizes so that you've got these little inserts. So this insert here, sorry Ernie, I know I keep screwing with you, but so this is the insert right here, and this goes in one at the top, one at the bottom. Of course, now I've taken it out, I can't get it back in. There we go. So you get the right size, and then you put in your lug, put this to the on position, and then you just start torquing it down. I'm not going to do it because I borrowed this from Tim's shop. And you just keep torquing it down a little bit, little bit, little bit. Actually, I didn't put that in there quite right. There we go. And then it smashes it down, but it crimps it properly so it's holding on to the wire. So this is a great way to properly crimp your aught gauge wire on your ring terminals. And the other option, Carlos, why don't you show them this?
So this is the Fletch one.
Fletch is kind of a big guy.
It's funny because Josh is like, I don't use this one. This one's for wimps. And he's a big dude. He's really strong. So I don't blame him trying to show us how strong he is, because he just goes ahead and you squeeze it just like a scissor type. So very important on here, just as you would like if you're going to do a butt connector or something. See this ring? It's got a connection right here where it meets, where it joins.
On the split, yeah.
That split, you do not want to crimp at that split. What do I mean by that? You do not put that pointy part where it splits. You put it on the back side. This is obviously too small.
You probably have to adjust it because we
Yeah.
didn't open it up. Yeah, it's got an adjustment on there. So, see, we didn't practice this either because this is live.
Well, you guys get the idea. If I can try to make it work somehow. So you do not put it where the tooth is. You do not put that split where that tooth is. because what it'll do is it'll just spread open. What you're going to want to do is you're going to put that in through here, and then you put the tooth through the back. After that, what I would do then, and then it closes up. Then what I would do, if you have any sense in your brain, you're going to take this, you're going to get a torch, and you're going to heat up the ring terminal, and then you're going to pour solder inside until it connects all around. Just want to make sure that you make sure that you have plenty of connection on there, and you're not going to have this ring come off or pull off for any reason. And you should already have your heat shrink ready.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Once you're done, you heat shrink, and you're good to go. Now it looks like you had someone that knows what they're doing do the install.
Nice, nice. So that's the tech tip for the night.
So when I was installing it, I remember doing a big system on this guy. He just signed a record deal, and he got a yellow Mustang, a yellow Boss Mustang.
Nice.
And he did a big Sony system in it, and this was back in the day where when you look at a 0 gauge, you're like, that's telephone wire, and you do a 4 gauge, and you can't even fold that 4 gauge.
Yeah.
So we had to get that crimper that it was just like a big metal base right here, and then it had a lead piece on top that did exactly what this did, and you just hammered down, clink, clink,
like an anvil, bang,
exactly.
bang, bang. Yeah,
you give it about 10 good whacks, and then you're probably good, and then you still had to solder on. So when I was installing 1999, 2000, this one would have been great. But if I knew something like this was around, where was my Snap-on guy back then? If I knew this was around, this would have made life so much easier. And think about it, guys. Just do the right job with the right tools.
That's right.
If you go to the doctor because you have a cold, and the guy comes in with a plunger, I don't trust that guy, right? Have the right tool.
Plunger. One last accessory installation component I want to talk about is the Warhorse bass knob. This is the universal bass knob, and my gosh, how did you open up? Here, you open that box, please. So the universal bass knob, this is simply RCA in and RCA out. That's why we call it universal, because it works with any line level component. Now, I say line level because we do not want to run high voltage through it. It's not a 40 volt input like a Warhorse amplifier or a Fit Plus input. It's not 40 volts. Up to 10 volts, you're good. Of course, most systems are going to be running closer to 4 volts. So this is simple line level in, line level out. It is full range. So if you want to use it to run your mids and highs on one knob and then run your subwoofers on another knob, you could use one of these for sub and one for mids and highs. And this will simply give you independent level control for your mids and your highs and your subwoofer, because it's simply RCA in, RCA out. It also has the cool mounting, Jacob
ferrous surface.
Any ferrous surface, yeah. Jacob, you nerd, man. So any magnetic metal surface, this will stick to it. You simply mount the plate, and the knob just sticks to it magnetically, so you can take it on and off very simply. So that's also available now, and available at your local Kicker dealer.
It's something that actually is very needed in the industry. Again, as I'm doing these trainings, guys are like, oh man, I can't believe you have that. We need something like that because there's not a lot universal ones out there right now. Yeah, so this is really cool. And it says Kickers.
It does not say Kicker. There's no S on Kicker.
Tell my dad that. For years I've been giving him Kicker shirts. He goes, hey, Nico, you got some Kickers shirts? I'm like, Dad, come on, man, there's no S.
We've got some questions. Let's take some questions from the audience. Who's up? Oh, I'm sorry. There it is. Thank you. That's why we're here tonight. So, George, good evening, George. Thanks for being here. Can the Warhorse run at 16 volts? This is a great question. It is specifically designed to run from 11.6 to 15.5. So it's like normal Kicker amplifiers, but when you go into competition mode, and there's a little button on the end, it actually loosens up some of the regulations on the amplifier, and it will allow it to work with a little more range. So it loosens up the current regulations, so you'll actually, for burst mode, it'll give you more current capacity before it goes into protection mode. And it's not designed for 16 volts, but it will work. So thank you very much for a great question. Next question. Overkill Customs, good evening. Thanks for being here. If you're going to run ST speakers active, what do you recommend setting for the crossovers? Okay, so the tweeter, because the WXA 1000.4, the crossovers are 24 dB per octave, so it's nice steep slopes. You want to go right about 3K. So start with 3K high and 3K low on your mid, and then of course using your RTA, your real-time analyzer, you're going to want to see where your dips and your valleys are, or your dips and your peaks are, so you're going to flatten it out with your crossover points. But you want to start right around 3K, and that should get you in the ballpark. Great question, thank you. Next question. Blazed, good evening, thank you for being here. Can the bass knob be used on 1004 and 3 channel mode? Great question.
This guy.
So the Warhorse bass knob that comes with the 3601 does not work with the 1004 because it doesn't have that input, that 3.5 millimeter input. However, as Carlos just pointed out, you could use the universal bass knob, the line level bass knob, take the signal out of your source unit to the input, and then from the output to your amp 2 on the amplifier input, amp 2, and now you've got line level control. So yes, it will work. Great question, thank you. We didn't actually cover that. Next question. Baba, good evening. Thank you for being here. No formal news on 18s, 6.5s, or 8s. No formal news. Next question. 25 hertz. Good evening. Man, this guy's here a lot. What? Oh, blocks. They are brass, nickel plated. Great question. So they are full brass, which of course, that's one of the reasons that we have a premium price on these, because they're real brass and nickel plated so they don't corrode. Great question. Thank you. Choke change. I wonder how many Q-Class L7s can work with a Warhorse. All of them.
Yes. How many you got?
Yeah, plenty. Remember, you don't have to have the RMS, max RMS per woofer. That is simply telling you, like a speed limit. The speed limit is 75 on I-35 between here and Oklahoma City. That is the maximum, but you could run 65 and still get there.
Yep.
It'll take you a little longer, but you'll still get there. So yeah, you can run a lot of L7.
And just keep in mind what we were talking about with the quad box. We're having a 501 play a quad box.
Yeah.
We had a 501 play 415s.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be great. Good question, thank you. Brian, hey, Brian, good evening. Thanks for tuning in, man. Any particular reason you chose orange and black for the wire colors? Warhorse. That's it.
That makes sense.
It's simply to keep with the Warhorse tones. You'll notice the Warhorse packaging, the Warhorse box, beauty box, is in orange and black. It has nothing to do with OSU. It is strictly Warhorse colors. Good question, Brian.
My daughter's soccer team colors.
Speaking of, hey, if our kids are watching tonight, it's 8:30. They should be in bed. Hi, Vanessa. You should be sleeping.
That's right, Vanessa, you should be, but my kids are probably still awake. I can't put those kids to sleep. So Christian, Christina, and actually, you know who also watches? Annie Roberts, who's actually on Christina's team. Annie Roberts is nice. Gary Roberts' daughter.
Oh, hi, Annie.
So Annie, number 15 for Stillwater, she's actually going to play this weekend. They got regionals this weekend.
Nice.
So Annie, if you're watching, go to sleep. And
Yeah.
Sarah, you too.
Get some sleep. John, good evening, John. Thank you for being here, sir. How do you wire that bass knob when the RCAs go into the amp? Okay, yeah, go ahead and grab it. So RCA cable, again, coming from your source unit and going to RCA input. So here's your input, RCA input, and then coming, am I doing the right one? Oh yeah, not that one, this one.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So then coming out of the RCA output, you go straight into amp 2, left and right amp 2, and that will give you level control from from the knob here. So the signal is simply passing through the knob, and that's giving you the attenuation.
So
Good
you're
question.
muting it through that. It's basically what it's worth.
Attenuating or muting it, yes. I think all the way
I'm not
down.
using nerd words, guy.
Nerd words. Jacob, I think all the way down is like minus 18 dB. So it's not quite mute, but you can't hear it, so it's done. Good question. Next question. Frank, good evening, Frank. Thank you for being here, sir. Is there a clip light on the Warhorse bass knob? No, there's not. And I'll tell you why. Mr. Joe Hobart talked a lot about this in a few episodes ago. There is no clip indicator. If you're using a bank of Warhorse bass amplifiers, they all have a birth sheet. All of them are going to be a little bit different. So all the amplifiers will have a different level of output. So if you had a clip indicator, on one amp, it might be flashing. The other amp, or the other 3 amps, it's not flashing. And then this amplifier over here might be flashing. So because you're using a bank of these amplifiers, they all have different clipping points. The clip indicators are not going to be all that helpful. A better way to do it is to set up your system using test tones, oscilloscopes, multimeters, and to set each amplifier perfectly from the preamp in competition mode. The preamp input is locked at 4 volts. So now all your amplifier outputs are the same. So using the source unit, probably a DSP or a multi-line driver, using that as your source, now you're going to set all the amplifiers identical, so you don't need individual clip indicators. Great question. Thank you for asking.
And more than likely, you are going to be using a DSP. And the reason I brought this one up is just to show you it is plain. There's nothing fancy to it. It's just a plain controller. This, I don't think we could have made it on here, but I mean, there's no reason to put it on here where you got too much information going already on here. And like you said, it's just, you have one here, one there.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be consistent. And this is another good point to talk about, is that these amplifiers, we went through a lot of interviews with bass heads in the bass head community, asking them what exactly do you want and what don't you care about. And the clip indicators, one of the things they said, we don't want that because the way we're using these amplifiers, it's not helpful. So,
and a lot of these guys are using that DSP anyway.
Right. Good question, thank you. Next question. Overkill, good evening. Second question tonight. What is the difference between Warhorse, 1/0 wire, and standard? It's just the color. It's the only difference. So if you've already got a spool of our gray or blue, you can use that. It's strictly the color's the only difference. Good question. Thank you.
It looks cooler.
It's OSU colors, right? Joseph, what's the Warhorse do at 0.5 ohm load? Okay, so Joe talked about this too, and the amplifier is designed for a 1 ohm minimal load. Now, if you go to 0.5 ohms and you're playing full bandwidth music, the amplifier may actually go into protect mode over current protection, which it'll indicate right here on the diagnostic display. Under normal circumstances, probably nothing bad is going to happen. But it is designed for a 1 ohm load. So if you do run it in a 0.5 ohm, this might start indicating that there's a challenge with too much current draw and it's going to protect itself. So yeah, we don't recommend it. Of course, Drew Jones is doing that anyway, but you know, Drew's a special case. Guy really knows what he's doing. He dials stuff in properly. Good question. Thank you. Next question. Javier. Did I say it right?
Javier. No, roll that R. Javier.
Maybe you should take the question.
Javier Trejo. ¿Qué consume más amplificador? No. What consumes more amps on your alternator? 2KXA 1600.1 or 3600.1?
Let me do some quick math. It'd be the same power, so virtually identical.
Didn't we have this conversation earlier today?
Did we?
No,
I don't think so.
CXA 18s we were talking about.
So if you 1600, so 2 1600s is going to be a little bit less than a 3600. So 2 1600 ones is going to draw less current than a 3600 one.
I'd say if you got the space, do the 36. I mean, go big or go home, man.
Do it, yeah. Good question, thank you, Javier.
Well, that are.
Oh, God. Cassie, good evening. Thank you for being here. And hey, would you please bring some of your female friends into the industry? We need more women in the industry. Thank you. Okay, that's my PSA. The big question everyone wants to know, when are we getting kicker sauces and seasonings? Kick your barbecue up with Kicker, bring in the beets and seasoning the meats. Whoa, screenshot that, please. Wow, that is fantastic, Cassie. I have no answer, but wait a minute. Dan Murphy.
Well, don't you remember What else? Who else? Jacob was trying to cook an egg on an amplifier, remember? Didn't happen.
No, the heatsink doesn't get hot enough. Good evening. Oh, Bill. Hey, Bill, he's still with us. Can you daisy chain diagnostic displays if running multiple? No. Each amp comes with the display, so you simply have one per amplifier. If you look at any of our social media that has our Bronco in it, you'll see a whole bunch of these at the back. How many are there? How many amplifiers? I forget how many.
There's 5 Warhorse amps.
Nine
Okay.
Warhorse. So there's 9 of these in the back, one for each amplifier. So yes, you can run 9 of them, one per amplifier. And again, they are included with the 3600 and the 1000.4. Good question,
These
Bill.
also have that magnet.
They do. They're all.
But I'm going to
magnetic.
lose a nail. There you go.
The Ferris to make Jacob
Ferris
happy.
mount.
Next question, Frank. Good evening, Frank. Thank you for being here, sir. What alternator and batteries are needed for the 3601? Okay, so the bare minimum is a 180 amp alternator at rest, 180 amps at rest, and a stout stock battery, and then a secondary battery that is physically close to the 3601. That is the bare minimum, and
the big three.
Thank you. The big 3 upgrade. So that would be a bare minimum. Now, in 2 weeks, on August 6th, we're going to have a couple of experts in here who are going to talk about proper power delivery for big systems. And so we're going to go much deeper into that topic. So thanks for that question, and please tune in again in August 4th, or 6th. 6th, yes. Last question. Okay, thank you. I'm running a Fosgate 2500. Next question. No. 2 Solo X12s. Will it make much difference to run the Warhorse 3.6? Okay, so I don't know that amp all that well, but it's probably, I'm guessing it's 2,500 watts. To go from 2,500 to 4,000, in theory, it's going to be
double.
It's going to be less than 3 dB.
Yeah.
In theory, it's going to be less than a 3 dB difference. Now, I want you to have a Warhorse, so I'd like you to go ahead and buy one, put it in, and then come back into the chat and tell us if you heard a difference. But for my money, I'm not going to hear a difference.
So I saw a lot of our customers doing the Q Series L7s with that amplifier.
Okay.
Because we didn't have, at that time, when the Q Series L7s, we didn't have something big enough.
The 2400 was gone, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I know it's a, sorry, Aaron. Sorry, Mr. Irby. I know it's a powerful amplifier. I know it's very popular. It was good. Try the Solo X's on it, and then if you're not happy with it, and then come back home.
Great question. And if you do the upgrade, please check back in. We'd love to hear your experience with it.
We'd love to see the install actually too.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we've got some more things to talk about. Let me see. I got to check stuff off here. Oh yes, we've got some questions. We got a couple of questions technical questions that came in from our social media. Sarah has been bringing the questions. So I want to, let me close that. I want to bring a couple of questions up tonight. So the first question is, Tobias? Tobias, is that right? Did I say it right?
Where's
Tobias?
Where?
Okay, you can't see it. Tobias? So Tobias.
It's in English, man.
Shut up. I'm looking to buy 2 10-inch Comp RT. So again, that's our thin, round subwoofer. 2 of those shallow mount subs. I haven't decided on what ohm I want. Oh, he hasn't decided on the dual 2 ohm or dual 4 ohm voice coil. He was curious what correct amp to use for having them at 2 or 4 ohms. So let's pull up Comp RTs.
Do you want to share your screen or no?
Ernie, can you share my screen? Thank you, Carlos.
Only if you'll tell them what's new after this.
What's new?
We do what we want, man.
I did skip it. I'm sorry, guys. I have notes here in front of me, and I skipped right over that. I'm sorry.
He's just tired, and he's reading with an accent.
Okay, so Comp RT. Here we go. Whoops, no, further down. Comp RT right here. So this is the subwoofer he's looking at. He's looking at the 10-inch. So let's look at the 10-inch here. We'll do this in real time. Now you'll notice we have 4 ohm dual voice coil, which can be wired to an 8 ohm load or a 2 ohm load. Or we have the dual 2 ohm, which can be wired to 1 ohm or 4 ohm. So if he's going to use the kicker amplifier, I'm going to suggest a final impedance of 2 ohms. So I'd like to see him take the dual 2 ohm. So this guy right here. And you'll notice the power up to 400 watts RMS. So if you're running 2 of these, 800 watts RMS is perfect. So a CXA 800.1 would be the perfect amplifier. Actually, I misspoke. We want to run that at 1 ohm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need 4 ohm.
You can at 1 ohm, but I mean,
yeah,
it's still pretty good.
Because the 801 at 1 ohm is going to make 800 watts. So yeah, you'd want to get the dual 4 ohm and wire them all in parallel to get you down to 1 ohm.
But
so
as you see there, you have that range, so you don't have to go that max power.
Right, as we talked about earlier. Right.
Yeah, so you're safe with either.
So there you go. That's the answer. Good question. Next question. Whoops, that's not it. Got to jump back and forth here. The next question, Aiden. Aiden asks, don't amps need airspace to cool or breathe? Don't amps need airspace? No. So not like an enclosure, but
right.
For example.
But it's formed the question. I like that.
Yeah, no, it makes you think a little bit. If you've got your amplifier, let's say it's underneath your seat, really commonplace, you put an amp in a car or pickup, you got it beneath the seat, and then you cover the amplifier with a floor mat, like a WeatherTech mat. I love WeatherTech. If you've got a WeatherTech mat or some other mat covering the amplifier, that is a problem, because now the amplifier's heatsink doesn't have a way to cool itself, so the amplifier is going to run into thermal much more rapidly. So you definitely want to leave the amplifier a few inches of airspace around it for air to flow. Now in super high SPL systems like Warhorse amplifiers, they're actually fan cooled. We overbuilt the Warhorse amplifier. It doesn't really need fans, but we know guys are really going to abuse these, so we did add fans to it. But you still need some way for the fans to exhaust the hot air and bring in the cool air. So the answer is yes, you do need airspace around the amplifiers for them to properly cool. Now, when people first started doing amp racks way back in the 80s and the 90s, a lot of guys liked to cover the amplifiers in their amp racks with plexiglass, and they didn't give enough airflow for the amplifiers, so they would thermal and shut down. So over the years, we've learned, hey, you got to give the amplifiers enough room to breathe to cool off. So that's a great question. Thank you very much.
Can I take your last question, Spock? I got a really good one.
Yeah, go ahead. John, good evening again, John. This is the second time tonight. Can I bridge both channels of a 1004 to give 2 subs? Oh my gosh. Thank you, JW. So at dinner tonight, JW said this exact same thing. Could I do that? And the answer is yes, because you'll get 900 watts RMS per woofer. So you'll still need to run a 180 stock alternator, a stout battery, and the Big 3 upgrade, but that amplifier will run 2 Solo X's, 900 watts per woofer, no problem. Great question. Thanks, JW. That was a good one.
I'm glad that actually came up.
Yeah,
we talked exactly that.
And we forgot to talk about it tonight during our session. So what's new? Yes, we want to let you guys and girls know there's some new stuff. Can you grab that Comp Q?
Oh, this
so the updated Comp Q is now available.
Comes with a hernia. No charge.
So the Comp Q comes in 10, 12, and 15. This is the 12. The world buys more 12s than any other size woofer. This is the 12. So the new Comp Q is available, and there's really one change of note. Cosmetically, you'll see that the blue stitching instead of the black stitching, and then the blue logo here. So it does pop a little more visually. That's been updated. But the most substantial update was we changed out the voice coil and optimized it. So we've actually increased the power handling a little bit. So I'm going to tell you, the older Comp Q10 was rated for 700 RMS. The new one is 800 RMS. This 12, the old 12 was 850 RMS. The new one is 1,000 RMS. So that went up substantially. And then the 15 went up from 1,100 watts RMS to 1,200 watts RMS. So that is the biggest change. And again, that's because we changed out the voice coil. The original Comp Q is 6 or 7 years old. So we now have gone to a newer voice coil, optimized it, and we got more power handling. So that is what's new with the new Comp Q.
You know what?
What?
Before you go, am I mistaken here? Heat sinks? around the voice coil?
Yeah, that's always been there. But yeah, there's an added heat sink.
But look how cool that looks. I mean, again, Steven, thanks for not coming to work. Now we can't zoom in on these heat sinks.
Yeah, so there is a heat sink.
But that is so cool to help that subwoofer dissipate the heat. Again, the more heat you can dissipate from it, the less the amplifier has to work.
Sure.
Because as the heat goes up, the more the resistance goes up as well, making that amplifier work harder. And what does the customer do? Let's turn up the gains more. Yeah, yeah, I can't hear it as much. So that's pretty cool. I think that's notable to talk about. If you're at a shop and you're gonna pitch this to a customer, explain why that heatsink is important. I mean, small details, right? But it means a big deal. I'll take it, man.
Thank you.
Or you want to talk about something else?
Well, I was just going to say, the forced air cooling. We've talked a lot about forced air cooling and Solo X, but it's also on the Comp Q. And the forced air cooling, once again, that is to allow heat to move away from the voice coil. And the less heat in the voice coil, the more hard pounding bass for longer periods of time.
In the words of our friend Ken Bundy, it is a drop-dead sexy subwoofer.
Hi, Ken. Hopefully you're watching. He's probably not watching. So that's new. We already talked about the 1004 is available at your local Kicker retailer, and we've got a new Marine speaker.
Can we talk about that already?
We can. This one. Can you pull up my laptop, please? The KM 6.5 inch. So this is actually our KM 6.5 that you know and love, but now it comes with a new grill option. We're calling it a thin mount grill, and this was in response to some of our premium boaters. They want kicker performance, but they don't want it to be an aggressive looking speaker. Right. They wanted something a little bit more sedate. And you've got a lot of experience with the boaters, so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so a lot of these boats are more of a luxury type boat, right? Obviously, to some of us, a boat is a luxury, right? But
yes.
To a boater, just a regular speaker is a speaker. And as I was told by a guy from an Italian manufacturer, he says, I have nice Italian luxury boats. I don't want the look of a lake in America. He's like, I want a classier look. He's like, I don't want to trash America, but I want a classier look. I don't, what do you say? I don't like the pontoon look.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is a perfect solution for a guy like that, right? He wants a classy, more refined look. Cool, no problem, man. Let's take our lights out of your way. Let's just put that classy looking grill on there. So, I mean, every different customer has a different taste, and we just got to have a way to solve that or to have a solution for them. So it's a really good solution. It looks great.
Yes.
It looks like it belongs in a nice fancy boat.
In fact, we work with Bennington, which is a premium boat maker, and they're one of the companies that sort of steered us in this direction of that more classier look. So thank you very much, Bennington. So, okay, so we talked about the new stuff. Yay! Thanks, Ernie. We did our questions. Oh, everyone's favorite, fail picks. Okay, let me find our... Okay, I say fail picks. What I mean is that we're all learning together, and sometimes laughing at ourselves is fun.
That's how we learn, right?
That's how we learn. Okay, Ernie, go ahead and pull this up for me, please. So here's the first one, and Ernie found this one. And so this is what I think's going on here. If you look right here, this is a 2-channel line output converter. So they took the LOC, they put it inside the door, tapped into the front door speaker, which actually may or may not be full range. It's quite possible it's high pass, so there may be no bass frequencies. And you wouldn't know that if you just put your ear to the door, but with an RTA, you can see what frequencies are available. Or with a key LOC, you can see if there are bass frequencies available. But then look at this. They've got some, looks like some ground wires where the speaker is supposed to be mounted. So when they go to put the speaker back in the door, it's going to be sitting on top of these mounting screws, which means it's not going to be properly sealed to the door. So yeah, not recommended for many reasons. Next up, steering wheel remote control.
It is custom.
Now, you'll notice down here it reads airbag. So if this airbag happens to deploy, you're getting a JVC stamp on your forehead.
It's gonna hurt.
That's gonna hurt.
Well, he ran out of mounting, the mounting bracket.
Right, on the steering wheel. So this tweeter, you'll notice, so this is a windshield. Here's a windshield wiper. This is where the windshield meets the dash. So they could not fit a couple of more screws in here. So, what the heck, we'll just stick with those 2 screws and let that tweeter fly.
So as you could tell, Aaron, he did not have a nubby. If he had a nubby Phillips, you could nubby it in there, right?
Or a skew driver.
Exactly, but the nubby's a lot funner. But what you could see right there is he used a ratchet. That's why he's using those screws instead of using a Phillips or a flathead.
Good catch. Yes. Whatever's handy, right? All right, so then here's a real nice connection. Didn't have solder, didn't have any spade terminals, so let's just wrap that wire around there and hope for the best. What's another solution, Carlos?
So there's so many other options you can go with it. You may or may not know that we make speakers, 2.5-inch speaker with the mounting brackets. So you don't have to do crazy installs like that. But I mean, if you want to do a tweeter like that, this is something I learned while we were out in California and talking to our dealers, and we had a lot of dealers. Actually, in the West Coast, it's East Coast and West Coast, I see a lot of these where they use these really loud tweeters, the bullet tweeters.
Yeah.
And what I never really paid attention to it, but if you go back to that picture, you could see the where the speaker wires come into it. They're going to be solder connections. Ernie, can we go back to that picture? You see where the speaker wire is at? You have those connections right there. And most of these guys, you have to put spades on or you're going to have to solder. Can you come back to me? And my pretty face?
Ernie?
If you notice our ST tweeters, from what I was told that we were the only one, but it could be the only one that they sold.
Yes,
they had the push button terminals on here to make your install a lot easier.
Yes.
The other thing is what our engineers thought of is when you're going to have to mount this tweeter somewhere like in that application, most of those tweeters are either going to go straight up, or that wire with the spade's going to go either straight up or to the sides. Now it makes it a little difficult to pop it into that location. So what our engineers did is they made a little notch on the side of the magnet right here so that you can run the wire in and come straight out.
Right out.
Making your life a whole lot easier for installing. So again, the little details that count, right? We find out from you guys. You guys are the ones that tell us how to make the product right. So thank you guys, and continue to feed us the information so that we can continue, not come out with products for you, because that's not what we sell at Kicker. What we sell is solutions.
Great sounding stuff. Okay, one more picture, Ernie, my laptop, please. So this is our final failure for the night. So this looks like a Serwin Vega 3-way 6.5-inch triax. And they have just run some electrical tape over the cone to the basket. And I'm not really sure why they did it, unless maybe that was how they mounted it into the mounting bracket. It looks like they're using a bracket here.
I think it's their grill, Aaron.
That's the grill. The new stealth
it's a tape grill.
Yeah. So, don't do that. All right, Ernie, thank you very much for showing that. And now a couple of cool picks. And, you know, the Kicker Club on Facebook is my favorite source of cool picks. So, Ernie, let's go back to my laptop. I am now ready for some cool picks. Check out this install. So this is nice, clean. Look at the details. They've got all of this inset here, the nice grill, and a bunch of amplifiers in this thing. But take a look at this. They've got our 9-inch ST series mids, L7S subwoofers. There's a better shot of it. Ported down here. Nice, clean install. Very, very nice work. And we love looking at systems like this. No, that is that R? No, that is S. Okay, L7S. So thank you guys, Kicker Club, for sharing your great images. It's always nice to see the work you guys and girls are doing out there. And if you've got something really special, send us the pictures and we'll take a look at them. And if we maybe want to do a little spotlight, a customer spotlight, we can do something like that too. So that's our cool picks, fail picks, some events. So Sarah said, hey Aaron, Cars and Coffee is coming to Stillwater Design's Kicker World Headquarters this Saturday. So if you're within driving distance and you want to go to Cars and Coffee event at Kicker, the building itself is closed, but man, we get hundreds of cars at Kicker Cars and Coffee. And there's some great cars and trucks and motorcycles, and even a boat occasionally gets pulled in on a trailer. So there's a lot of great stuff to see. So if you're in the area, motorcycles, if you're in the area, come check out Cars and Coffee. It starts at 8 a.m., goes till noon, and we're expecting some really nice weather this weekend. So be sure to check that out on Saturday. Also, JW told me that in August we have an American flat track event in Sturgis, North Dakota. South Dakota. And JW is going to be there, and so is our special guest, Mad Dog.
Mr. Morrell.
Mr. Morrell, yes, he's going to be there working the event with JW, and they're going to be having a great time at the American Flat Track event. So be sure to check that out if you're in the area, and that's coming up in August. For all Kicker events and, of course, Base Wars events, go to our Facebook page, and we can show you all the events right there. Okay, let's give away some prizes, some cool prizes. Let's go for third place winner. You get the EB400 in-ear monitors, a couple of koozies, and the Kicker Unmasked t-shirt. Who is number 3? Big BMK from Colorado. Big BMK, Colorado. That's where I'm from too, by the way. You knew that.
No way.
You've been to my mom's house. You've seen it. So yes, thank you. Number 3 winner. Number 2 winner tonight is Jeffrey A. from Texas. Congratulations, Jeffrey A. from Texas. What do you get? You get the TW2 in-ear monitors. That's our true wireless monitors.
Those are
you
nice.
get two koozies. Boy, I'm running out of steam here. And the t-shirt. And number 1, final winner, Kingbird L from Minnesota. Kingbird L from Minnesota. You're the number 1 winner. You get the Bullfrog 2 koozies t-shirt. And side note, John Myers is in Minnesota right now. He is training our friends at Best Buy, and he's shooting some videos there. So
if you guys see John Myers, ask him for an autograph.
Yes, please do. Please do. All right, guys and girls, it's been a lot of fun. Our next show, oh yeah, side note, Andy's not doing a show tonight. He is exhausted from his vacation, so he'll be on next Tuesday doing his thing. So be sure to check him out. But our next show is on the 6th. And we're going to be doing a much deeper dive on big power systems with special guests from Excess Power and McMahon alternators. So be sure to tune in. Any final thoughts, Carlos?
Yeah, read the board.
Read the board.
Well, I'm going to get my final thought first, Ernie.
At the end of show, here's some good. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry guys. So I'm supposed to let you know that there's a possibility, maybe, a big giveaway coming up. Not done yet.
Hint, hint.
Hint, yeah, something in my eye, my contact's sliding out. So there might be a big giveaway, so be sure to tune in 2 weeks and join us for that really special show, because we really haven't done a huge giveaway in a little while. So there might be something coming, so be sure to tune in.
It'd be good to give away Ernie's Magnum PI shirt.
Nobody's gonna want, except Tom Heath, right? Right, Tom? Love you, Tom. All right, Carlos, final thoughts?
No, it's been great. You guys are great. I love your questions. Keep them coming. Please give us any install pictures.
Oh yeah.
Great install, bad install, just install. I don't care. We want to see the install pictures, and we want to hear Ernie's stories from the Bay.
Oh yes, Ernie's stories from the Bay.
So we need your help trying to convince Ernie to tell us stories from the Bay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Good night.
Have a good night.